Hello everyone and welcome to ETM-501 Foundations of Social Justice. My name is Melissa Thomas and I will be your lead instructor through this course. We also will have an assistant instructor during this course and his name is Tom Riddle. He'll be in and out of the discussion boards interacting with you as needed. For those of you that are in the CE3 cohort, you have the opportunity to meet with me tomorrow in Hill Hall, that's August 26th, in Hill Hall, room 104, at 4:30 in order to do an overview of Blackboard. But we have many open enrollment online participants for this semester, so I wanted to give you all just an overview of Blackboard and maybe discuss a couple of the things you may see so that you feel comfortable. Whenever you first log into Blackboard and first go into our course, you'll see our announcements page. I produce 3 announcements approximately every week. They're just things to draw your attention, to remind you of assignments, or of course to kind of give you a little bit of motivation whenever it seems like it might be a long week. The very first thing you should look at is Read Me First. And in the Read Me First, that's how you can contact me. There's information about how to contact me. There's also information about the course structure, about the discussion boards, the learning logs, and of course time expectations and just how to be a successful online learner. Course syllabus is next. If you scroll through the course syllabus, you will see course requirements. Course requirements is probably what you should focus on the most because this will give you an opportunity to really plan your online learning schedule. We have 3 major assignments in this course. One that is a personal narrative. It is due at the end of Module 1. The MySpace project, which is due at the end of Module 3. And then the focus group project, which is due before the end of the course. And the reason for that is because grades for an online course are due within 48 hours after the class closes. It's very difficult to collect everything at the extreme end and then get it all graded within 48 hours. So this way it gives me 4 days so that I can read through your final project and give you fair and appropriate grades. The personal narrative assignment, which is in Module 1, we'll look at that one first. So if you click into assignment examples, you'll actually see examples of all of these assignments. I think it's best to give you something to look at so that you kind of get an idea. I want you to know that none of these is perfect, but each of them has something that was very specifically well done that made them an exemplar and something that I could share as an example. So your personal narrative assignment is actually going to be just personally where you are in your culture and how you've gotten to be who you are in your life based on your culture. So this one is very personal. You can use personal pronouns. You have to. It's personal narrative. But you can use personal stories and share information about yourself that you're comfortable with sharing. I will let you know that no one else will read these except for me, and I will not share your personal information about anything that you've said in any discussion forum or anything else. So personal narrative is approximately 3 to 5 pages long, depending on how much of your story you're going to tell. And if you go into Module 1, you'll actually be able to see the assignment and read in short what the assignment is all about. I actually have given you some questions and some details to try to get you thinking about those things. And of course, you can access the rubric by clicking this link if you'd like to take a look at the rubric. The rubric is based primarily on the fact that you were able to tell your story, that you were able to do so using proper English grammar, and that you accomplished all of the things that kind of give a good feed of what social justice means to you and where you are in your culture. The second assignment in assignment examples is the MySpace project. And MySpace is one of my absolute favorite assignments. In this project, what you're going to do is actually go and take pictures of things that are around your school or community that actually show access or lack of access. So if you go into Module 3, because this one is due in Module 3, you'll be able to see it in Module 2 and Module 3. So in this, I've given you some questions and some details to follow so that you can kind of get an idea of what are some of the best things to photograph. But really we're thinking about what are places in your school? What are the places around your community? What does that tell us about where you are? What does that tell us about the struggle for social justice in those places? And oftentimes it's very interesting, this project, because people will be going through and taking images of different places and they will look at them differently. So that's what's really cool, getting you guys to really think about this and really consider what what's really going on? Why are these signs in certain places? What access do people have to grocery stores or to medical facilities or police departments and that sort of thing? So that is the MySpace project, and that's due at the end of Module 3. So in Module 2, you actually don't have an assignment, and that's because the Module 3 and Module 4 assignments take just a little bit longer to complete. So I wanted to give you one module where you could do some planning and some extra work to get a little bit ahead. So the focus group presentation is going to be your last project. And in focus group presentation, this one is the most difficult that you have to do. You're actually going to find a group that represents a group of students, parents, people in your system, out of your system, anyone who is different than you. And then you're going to do some investigating and some questioning to try to figure out what their perceptions and ideas are and what their beliefs are about a particular system or idea or focus. So we will talk more about this as we get into Module 2 so that it'll become a little bit more clear, but you'll be able to look at this throughout all of the modules and kind of get an idea. I set you up with a timeline so that during Module 3, these are things that you should have finished, and then Module 4, you'll just be working on the actual project and doing the assignment in and of itself. Of course, there's an example of each of these, like I mentioned in the assignment examples, and if you would need a different example, I have a bunch of them from just semesters of running this course in this way with these projects. So in each of the modules, if you click, you'll very quickly see, I'm going to turn it on a mode that you guys see. So this is what it looks like as a student. You'll very quickly see what to read and do. Now, I know that with all of these, people look at this and they think, oh my goodness, it's 3 or 4 chapters of a book. It's a bunch of extra reading. I highly suggest just skim reading in order to make sure that you're getting through the material, but you're also hitting highlights. I always skim read whatever I can. And in the process of skim reading, I read the first sentence or 2 of a paragraph and the last sentence of a paragraph. If that is very interesting to me and I feel like it's feeding me, it's speaking to me, then I read that entirely very closely. But other than that, you can hit and miss and kind of move through so that you're finding the things that are very interesting to you. The Banerjee and Greenwald text is very easy to read, and most of it's very applicable. So those of you who are working as cultural representatives in your school and doing professional learning for your schools, this is actually a text that will help you in planning that professional learning. So consider that one to be my highlighted text, I would say, in making sure that you read that carefully. So as you go through them, there will be, of course, all of the expectations, the outcomes, and then I always give you a little bit of information on strategies for going through. And this one, number 4, is probably, I think, the most important for you, just to consider how you should jump into the module, how you should jump into actually the discussion boards. My expectation is that everyone by Wednesday of the very first week will have posted something. That may not mean that you've completed all of the reading at that point, but you've gone in, you've taken a look at what the question asks, and even if you haven't done all of your reading yet, you're able to post something that shows that you are present in class and that you are considering the topics. After that, I would suggest going in every other day into the modules and just looking at the discussion posts and kind of carrying on just a little bit of a conversation so that you're learning more. Now, right below that is something called social justice resources. There's a video for you, a PowerPoint that I created that gives you a little bit of instruction on the very intro to this course. But below that also are all of these topics called the isms. You're going to be referring back to the isms in every module in order to be able to do discussion boards. So we have ableism, ageism, classism, heterosexism, racism, and sizeism. Those are the isms that we're going to be covering in this course. Now, we will do a lot more with racism and ethnicism whenever we get into the next course, so please don't consider the size of those topics to be a discount to that. We just know that in the next course, we spend the entire course talking about those 2, so we spend more time in this course talking about other extraneous isms that you may not be thinking about. But ultimately, the isms are the barrier to people receiving equitable treatment in the world. So we're going to be looking at those pretty close up. And I will kind of give you the heads up, they do change because anytime I come across something on social media, on the news, whatever, that's going to be applicable, I'll be adding to them. In fact, I have a list going from things that I've been reading through CNN or through Twitter and different websites that I've seen things come up that I need to add to this within the next week. So it's okay if you miss something, but I just want you to know that they might be morphing, so you may have a couple of extras in there that you hadn't seen, or someone who goes into ageism 2 weeks from now may see something a little bit different than you did when you started the course. So in each of these, for the discussion board, what you're going to be doing is choosing one ism and going through the resources and kind of just posting a little bit about what your aha is about that ism, or what your previous belief was and how you believe now. Or perhaps this is a topic that you've been engaged with for a long time and you can share some more information. So in that discussion forum, it's in every single one of the modules. You have one discussion forum that has to do with this section. So you'll be coming back to module 1 throughout each of the discussions or each of the modules in order to access this ISM information. You can see then there's a link to the module 1 forums, and if you click there, you will get to the discussion posts. And I see that a couple of people have been in already discussing. That's good. I haven't checked yet. I will be in there tonight. So there's always one that's social justice resources. That's where you go back to the isms. And typically I have 3 discussion posts per module. I think that's pretty much enough for you guys to do a good discussion, and it covers all of the topics that we're interested in covering. If we go back into module 1, you also have a link to the learning logs. And in your learning log, you post one time, just one time for each 2-week period. One time. You can either post in the beginning, the middle, or the end. It's totally up to you. But this is just kind of like your personal reflection. I'll be reading them. They may be visible to others. I just want you to know. I never set them private. So I like to keep them open in case anybody else wants to nose around and kind of look at somebody else's and see what the learning's like. So keep that in mind when you're posting. But this is just a place where you get to reflect, where you get to ask questions of yourself and just kind of share things that might be outside of what the discussion boards carry. One time, please, one time per module. And then of course the assignment. Whenever you go to turn in an assignment, you click the assignment link. That will bring you up to a page like this, where you can view the rubric if you'd like. It has another discussion of the bits of information, and it tells you the due date. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can browse your computer or browse your storage, wherever it's from. You can click it in, and then please click the I agree to submit my paper to the global reference database, because this is the place where we get all of our safe assign. So this is the chance to very quickly check for plagiarism without me having to dig up all of the papers that have been submitted in the past 2 years through this program. So all of our papers have been submitted, and then of course then they just kind of run them for plagiarism check. Please don't plagiarize. And then of course down here at the bottom you would click the submit button, which is under my face right now, so I'll move myself over. Click the submit button, and then that submits. Now, it is set up so you can only submit one time. So if you accidentally submit and you're not ready yet, or you found a problem then and you have to go back and fix it, please just email me the new document. Tell me what, I accidentally submitted, and here's a new document, and I will gladly take that one. So don't feel like if you submit and you've messed up, you're done. Just please email me the new document. I totally understand what that looks like. I've done it before. So that's an overview of how the modules run. This is every single module will carry a similar theme. In regards to how it's set up, they're all set up the same. You'll always get into what to read and what to do, the module overview, kind of your strategies, your assignments. Of course, then where you post, which isn't available to you in any of the other modules yet, but your discussion boards and your learning logs will be on there too as soon as we get to those modules. I open all of the modules a couple of days before the previous module ends. So you'll see that module 1, even though it ends September 8th, I believe is the date, the other module will open around the 5th or the 6th, so that it's open and you can start to prepare and plan a little bit for what you're going to be discussing. So as always, if you need anything, please email me. If it's an emergency or you're having some sort of issue, you can always text me and we can arrange for a phone call. Email is the quickest way to get me, as crazy as that sounds, because I normally have my cell phone with me, but I normally, during the school day or during my work day, I block out all text messages, so email is definitely the fastest way to get to me. If you need anything at all, just be open and communicative. We have very little